Good afternoon, Zambia. Good afternoon, Africa, wherever you're watching us from. This is the Zambia Sports Roundtable, episode number 2. And we are featuring a very interesting personality, well-known personality in the circles of sport, but not just sport, including the corporate world, where he has made a mark in terms of marketing, in terms of selling different products. If you remember, Mr. Mpondela, Elias Mpondela, who is the Zambia Athletics president. He has been at the helm of this sports body, the National Federations in charge of athletics in Zambia for over 2 decades. And we are privileged to have him on our show. He's a busy man, and recently he was hosting the Confederation of African Athletics Championship for under 18s and under 20s in Ndola in Zambia. And I think he's recovered. Mr. Mpondela, welcome to the show, to the second episode of the Zambia Sports Roundtable. And like I said, it is a privilege, an honor for you to be part of this Zambia Sports Roundtable episode number 2, a show that engages key personalities that are making a mark in sport development across the nation of Zambia. Mr. Mpondela, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks to her for having me.
And quickly, Mr. Mpondela, allow me to congratulate you and your executive and really the entire government of the Republic of Zambia, led by the Ministry of Youth, Sport and Arts, in terms of having successfully hosted the Confederation of African Athletics Championship for under 18s and under 20s in Ndola. How was the experience? Please just give us a few details, including some of the challenges that you faced in organizing the event.
It was an extremely exciting event. First of all, getting out of Lusaka, where all things, all logistics and especially hotels had been prepared, and delving through, a city, the 3rd largest city of Zambia, where we anticipated inadequacy in terms of accommodation, but also where we were not sure what the state of the track would be, and of course spectatorship, more fans. As you know, in athletics now, more fans is one of the key pillars, one of the key objectives of the world athletics. But I think just to go, out of Lusaka in our comfort zone into another zone and go and thrive there, make such a mark that we made, I think I can only thank God that, well, how did it happen? I think it's when government decides that they are supporting something and they put their mind to it, and the leaders are courageous in the decision they are making, then surely you begin to then see that certain things that look impossible become possible. And I think also from my own perspective, I've never agreed that you need so much time to prepare certain things. I've always also, known that shortcuts on a focused activity, shortcuts do work, particularly when you have a lot of knowledge in organizing. And intercompany really has given me a lot of knowledge. And also around me in the local organizing community, we are individuals. Many of them are CEOs of different parts. So we all had that same courage, the courage to support, the courage of the minister, Honorable Elvis Kandu. The PS were quite committed to this cause. So we were all courageous that it can happen. And more importantly, I think when the CAA, the technical director, Azizi, came here, Dauda, and our Confederation of African General Secretary came here and said, the stadium is an old one. It requires a bit of work, but it can be done. When that came, and together we just mobilized and said, well, it must happen. And challenges of accommodation were thwarted at an early stage. And what we saw is the outcome where now we are told this is the best ever staged youth and junior championships in athletics in Africa. That's what we've been told. Scoring 16 championship record in under 18, scoring 6 championship record in under 20. That we are told has never been scored before, and also attracting 45 countries, including Zambia. And athletes numbering 734 and about 300 technical officials, both local and I think one can only describe that was incredibly successful and incredible lessons learned, but I think the success was remarkable.
Right. Congratulations once again. And obviously, there are a number of lessons that we must be able to learn from the just ended championship. And obviously, it gives us knowledge and more information in terms of how we can best host future events. I'll come back to this particular topic because obviously with such events, and in particular to this particular one, there's been some concerns from the public in terms of how it was organized. But I want us to go into the issue of general athletics development in Zambia. You've been at the helm of athletics in Zambia for over 2 decades, if I'm not mistaken. And you've seen it, athletics evolve as a sport from where it was by the time you were taking up leadership to where it is now. Could you point out the key highlights, or what are the high points in terms of your success as president in Mpondela, one of the longest serving sport administrators or presidents of a national federation, but also what are the key highlights in terms of the success of Zambia Athletics?
I think when we came in, we found that one of the deterrents to development was funding. And 2, it was a secretariat that could coordinate all the activities. We resolved the issue of secretariat. We instituted the secretariat and it's still functional. I think we are second to, FAS. You've been at our secretariat yourself and you've seen we have staff that we pay. They are not paid by government, we pay them, okay? The other thing that we saw then, how then do we not stop crying on government and begin to generate our own funding? We quickly came up with the intercompany relay. My brainchild, I bossed that, and it has been running. And this will be the 23rd that this event, which has enabled the athletics family to create partnerships with the private sector. You have been, again, part of this event. I went with you to Italy to try and launch a new one. So you've been part of this, and you've seen that this event has exponentially grown, raising funds to help us, do what we need to do. So one of the key highlights really is financial independence, which has enabled us, especially from 2012. Because remember, Zambia didn't have any running track anywhere. We were all running on, grass and all that until the OIDC, which again, you were an operations manager there. And you remember that that's the only time we started creating programs that could see our athletes running on the track and those that were to do throwing on the track or on the field that already calculated and measured. There it is, 2012, we start. And when you look at 2012 to date, the number of gold medals we have secured, the number of silver, the current bronze that we have secured, you can just say, well, something has happened here. And we were able to fund all these activities by ourselves through financial independence that we have attained into the intercompany. And so what has happened is that when you look at the All Africa Games, Commonwealth Games, and you look at the Region 5 Games, in terms of contribution to the medal basket, Zambia Athletics is #1. So we've done incredibly well at the level of, junior, senior, and youth championships at that level. And thanks to the monies that we're raising, that were enabling us to camp. You can't win if you don't camp. You just can't win if you don't train. And it's not, in athletics, there are no accidents because it's not a team game. It's a team game when it comes in 4x4, 4x100. But even there, you have to train how to pass on a pattern. So I would like to say one of the remarkable things what we've done is to score very well at all these regional Commonwealth Games. You saw last year, we got champion, Muzala Samkonga in as African and of course Commonwealth 400 meters champion. And today, as we talk, 43.91 in your presence in Botswana, world lead to date. And just recently, 44.25, breaking a national record and breaking on national record. And it's not only Muzala. There's Roda. There are a lot of young people that have done incredibly well, even going for the first time to the Poland, to the 4x4 world relay. Zambia never dreamt of going to those kind of places. And also, in the past you go because you are wildcard. We stopped being wildcard because we started qualifying from 2012 when we had a stadium, established at the Olympic Youth Development Center, OIDC. So I think that we've done well in terms of qualifying athletes. And being at a global stage, including Commonwealth and Olympic Games, qualified athletes. I think we
and Mr. Mpondela, well. I just continuing in terms of the success, in terms of the medals that you have won as ZA at the international stage. But one thing that we keep asking, I think everyone asks the same question, is that during your tenure, Zambia has not won a medal at the Olympics. The last Olympic medal that we won was through Samuel Matete in hurdles. Of course, that's a silver medal. Of course, we have had Sydney Siame winning the Youth Olympic Games gold medal, for the first time for a Zambian athlete to win a gold medal at the Youth Olympics under your leadership. And then we have the new kid on the block now, Muzala, winning the Commonwealth Games gold medal under your leadership as well. Do you think we'll see another athlete, perhaps Muzala, winning a gold medal or any medal at the next Olympics, perhaps Paris 2024?
Yeah, maybe before we go there, I think performance in athletics, or indeed any sport, is a function of the investment you put in. When you don't invest, you can't see the results. When you look at the performance of South Africa, Kenya, Ethiopia, now Nigeria, and our friends in Botswana, where you are, you see that there is a deliberate move, to invest. And what we have seen from last year, because it's only last year that the new Dawn government, paid specific importance to all sports codes. And that's how we started now benefiting. Muzala is a creation of ZA money, intercompany relay money, RODA, all these ones. So I think increasingly, and you have seen that you begin to see an upswing in terms of performance and trying to get medals. If government continue with the trajectory, for instance, right now we are looking for $36,000 to take Muzala, 4 others to Europe to camp them in readiness for the World Athletics Championships in Budapest. If that money is not made available for us to camp and train, get into the psychic that is required at the World Championship, again, you can't see performance. So I think performance, like I said, you must put in, you must invest. And increasingly, as you have noticed now, if we talk about our icon, Samuel Matete, he didn't qualify here. He qualified in America. And he stayed many years before he could qualify. But if you look at Muzala, even Sydney, all these young people, they have qualified here with the coach here, Douglas Kalembo, assisted by Kejas Nyendwa, assisted by Sydney Musipi from the technical side of things. So you can see all these have qualified here. So conditions clearly indicate that the trajectory is actually positive, because even the world lead of 4.93, not 4.91, which was scored in your presence in Botswana, we did not send him elsewhere. He was here. Rhoda in South Africa, she was here. So I think that what we see is something that is going to explode. And thanks to the partners that have supported us in the intercompany relay, because they have set a stage where we have a cadre of athletes at the senior level and junior level that can do extremely well. And already we've beaten the national record in 400 meters beaten
Indeed.
it 3 times.
Indeed.
So clearly, where we are going, the future is extremely bright. And we have more qualified coaches, more qualified technical officials. It means our competences have been upscaled to be able to produce world-class athletes.
Yes, Mr. Mpondela. And talking about the success in the races, especially the short races, one would say that the focus of ZA is mainly on the track events, leaving out a few events such as javelin, discus, and so on and so forth. And these are events that were quite popular back in the days. Some of us were going to school, would participate in a wide range of field events. But this seemed to have disappeared from the face of ZA. I don't know if my assertions are correct, but what is happening in terms of making sure that we have a balance between the races or the track events as well as the field events?
You are absolutely correct. We are emphasis on short and mid distances. That's where we thought we had more competence. And secondly, the death of sports in schools. You and I, at our time, we had all these activities in schools. The death of sport in schools and the disconnect between the national calendar of Zambia Athletics and the school calendar also has contributed. First of all, the death of physical education, and also having physical education as part of the curriculum talked about, but not well implemented to support the emergence of comprehensive sport activities, which include the field events. And then increasingly, I think all of us then, like the country where you are in Botswana, I think they too are quite indulged in running track events. Even if you go to Kenya, countries began to think that, well, they are indulged in these events. Maybe we are wrong. And what we are trying to do is to redress that. At the just ended event, you saw that we delved into some of these field events, and we have made a commitment. And we have asked government to help us procure equipment, javelin, and your shot puts and all these things that support field events, which are called technical. So I think increasingly we have seen, and yesterday you may wish to know, there's a young man who just participated in the event here, and he won very well in Kasama, and he's been given a bicycle. It was a big celebration. It's a product of this event. So what you see moving forward is emphasis on field events and both field and track events. So that's the way we want to balance.
Right. And yes, and we are seeing a lot of young people coming up, through the ZA pathways, who obviously will be future champions. But is there a place for people like Samia Matete? And I know this subject keeps coming up in terms of Samia Matete and how he's been involved in ZA, but also in athletics development in Zambia. He's a legend that cannot be taken away from him. But your leadership, Mr. Mpondela, has also been marred by a lot of opposition from within the federation itself, but also from outside. When you talk to people, there's a number of people that are opposed to your leadership. They have got their own reasons. But do we see more involvement of people like Samia Matete and others that I may not be able to mention on this platform? And also, do we see you, Mr. Mpondela, hanging up your running shoes anytime soon? Do we see you retiring from ZA to bring on board new people, new faces that could take over from your legacy?
Yeah, let's start about Matete that keeps on coming. Before, when you were still at OIDC yourself, we went ahead and appointed Matete to be the national coach. You and I and Mr. Chileshe worked on a program, if you recall, and we gave him a salary, which was a recommendation from World Athletics. What did he do? He jumped and refused, and instead he went to court because he wanted to be president and he didn't qualify. Even when he came out, we still said, you are a family member. And he registered. He came and apologized. And eventually we patched it up. and said, well, be a family member. For your information, he has a club where he trains athletes. So he's never been distanced, except that he claims for something that he's not ready for. In 2020, we were forced to have him, even if he didn't qualify, to stand as a president, to challenge me, because it was believed he would win. He lost lamentably. Okay? We've tried to get him to be part of us. And also, at the just ended under 18, we included him in the technical team, the coaching team, so that probably if given more time to train, which we are not, if given more time to camp, which was not given, that you would be able to be the one to animate the young people, inspire them, and especially those who are trying to do where he got the silver medal, but he opted to be a commentator at ZNBC. So here you are. So I think what the view is from the public and the view inside are two different views. Inside, we get him, and inside, he's already working with us. And but you see, I'm not a president for nothing. First of all, I'm a corporate, as you did, corporate executive. Okay? I've been CEO of many companies, and you know it yourself. I've been a CEO of big companies. I've been chairman of big organizations, including Shelter Freak in Nairobi, chairman of Mpondela Harbor, making successes and profits, chairman of SOS Children's Village, Zambia, chairman of TMS Medical Services here, and I've been on boards. So my experience, my corporate experience, coupled with my technical experience I've acquired in sport, enables me to fly a little differently from what my colleague would. So my leadership has been opposed. Or opposed because in the cluster where I am, maybe I'm not supposed to be there. I'm supposed to be elsewhere. But I've chosen, for the sake of a Zambian child, for the sake of athletics in the country, to be there, not paid, and you know it. You've been with me. And so intercompany creates money. That develops sport, athletics, and others think that it's mine. It's not mine. And so the opposition, but in all the four elections that I've been through, I've been challenged except one. People will either withdraw or, like someone was courageous, and I beat him hands down. So
do you block your opponents? Do you block your opponents somehow? Do you block your opponents?
Believe me, even if you investigate, I ran a transparent kind of election. In an election, you got to be intelligent. You don't go, you have got to be, and you have to have an objective. Why do you want to stand? You cannot come because you are a certain level. You have to get your level. Who are you challenging? Is it the level and the caliber of Elias Mpondela? Are you sure you are the same level? And also the achievements that I've made, the partnerships that I've created, the networks that I come with from the corporate world. So you have to get yourself, what are you doing? I don't fight to become a coach or a technical director. I fight to become a leader. Because what I've been doing, I've been leading. And it's because of the quality of leadership I've provided, coupled with the financial independence and stability that I've created. That's what makes me attractive over people that may have been on the track and they are refusing to be on the track. I think this is the difference. And these names, I think you got to gauge all of us and be fair. Where are your competencies? Because eventually when we go for election, people are looking for a leader. And probably maybe I provided that other than what people think about.
Yeah.
So when am I handing over the gloves? Look. Hello, are you there?
Yes.
Athletics is my life, okay? And I've produced champions, and I've just done what no one has ever done in athletics since 1964, to persuade the government to invest in the hosting of this championship and attracting 45 and 734. 45 countries, 730. That doesn't come easily. It comes because of networks, and the president of World Athletics was here, and other, council members of World. That doesn't come easily. It comes because one, first of all, has what it takes to network with the people. So athletics is my life. Now, yes. I have the next election which coming. I have no intentions of running. Okay? There are people within Zambia Athletics that have been working with me, studying me to see what I do. And
do we have a name? Do we have some names that
well,
of potential?
I mean, for instance, I have General Secretary. This guy has been everything that you require for a leader. He is everything that you require for a leader. He's been General Secretary, he's been Treasurer, he's been the International Relations Communication Manager. He's a financial accountant, he's stable-minded. I've got the Deputy General Secretary, Maureen, incredibly good. I've got coaches. I mean, I've got even a coach, Coach Douglas Kalembo. All these are kind of, I've got Mother Spirit. I've got a cluster of people that work with me that have studied what I do. And I'm saying, when you say succession plan, everyone has got somebody in mind that they think will not tip the boat. I don't think leadership is leadership because people outside say. And in any case, if you want to be a leader, first of all, you have to show where are you coming from. And when you want to take over this big board called ZA, it's a corporation now. ZA is a corporation, it has employees. So where are you coming from? Have you succeeded before? What have you done in your, So because this idea of just taking over for the sake of taking over, you tip the boat and the boat capsizes. That's not what we want to see for ZA. So ZA, I would like to believe that my colleagues will support certain suggestions I may make, but also in a democratic society, you also allow people to make their own democratic views.
Indeed, Mr. Mpondela, and you've talked about where you're coming from, and if someone wants to take over from you, obviously they must be able to gauge and look at where they're coming from. What have they done in terms of sport development in the country, not just athletics, but what can we look at in terms of their CV? And talking about CVs, your CV is loaded. I was just looking at it, the one that you have upgraded. Of course, I've been looking at your CV from time to time, and obviously it's got new areas in terms of your competencies. But you've got a very, very good CV, Mr. Mpondela, and this is something that only few people can be able to possess. I want to take you back now to the first question that I had asked about the just ended event, the under-18, under-20 championship that you held in Ndola. There's been some, some reports of people who have not been paid their allowances and their service fees. And when I go to social media, I look at my WhatsApp, and I've got a number of questions from different people who are asking me to ask you, when will these people get paid their dues?
I really sympathize with my colleagues who have not yet been paid. An event like that was not Zambia Athletics. That event was government event between government and the Confederation of African Athletics. The government appointed the local organizing committee to help it, ensure that the hosting was successful. And in all events that are government related, as you know, government pays. If we come to the Region 5, some of which you have attended, government collects account numbers, names of people, and sends money to them. Commonwealth Games, Region 5 Games, everything games. All these things that are government, they are part of what government does. So I would like to urge my colleagues that what has happened here is that government has already taken your names, and sometimes it takes a bit of time for government to release. And we've seen this in the Commonwealth Games. We've seen this in every game. I think the only difference is that people are seeing that. No, there is a local organizing committee to which I was privileged to chair. I can assure all those who have not received that even as of yesterday, on Friday, our General Secretary, Mr. Mngambata, was pushing. And we hope that payment can be made as soon as possible. It's not ZA that is supposed to pay. It is the ministry. And the ministry has not refused to pay. It's just a lag between the time information has gone in there, and also the ministry has many things to do. The only thing I can urge our ministry is that I think when we are having events like this, streamline how the operations will be, ensure that probably the local organized committee gets access to those funding that need to be dispersed. Maybe that can reduce time, because the government has got too many things to do. So really, I sympathize, and we are pushing on your behalf, and we hope that this payment can be made as soon as possible.
I'm glad that you've mentioned that and given an assurance, obviously, to those that are waiting for their dues. And also going into the future, obviously, you still you need such people, volunteers, to really provide a service to ZA, including the events that you run. But Mr. Mpondela, as we are coming to the conclusion of this conversation that we have been having, I want you to just assure us in terms of the future of ZA, and obviously looking at the different elements of international sporting success. Where do you see ZA in the next 5 to 10 years?
The prospects are very high. First of all, the hosting of this just ended second combined CAA under 18, under 20 is a great investment that government may not realize, may think that they wanted more medals, but the investment of inspiring the nation and getting people to know that, in fact, right here, they can participate in such an event, that has created its own momentum that can never be thwarted. So I anticipate that at the level of juniors, we are going to get a lot of successes, and this has already commenced. 2, if the New Dawn government continues with this trajectory of assisting, I can only advise them that invest more in training, create more time for training, invest more in ensuring that the development level, those monies that we request for, are released so that we can begin to enhance what happens at the lower level. A little bit of poor performance here, also as a result of the mismatch between what we invest in schools, there's no investment, the PE, there's nothing, and probably what we ourselves, through our own provincial area boards, probably what we don't do. But this highlighted, and I think the lessons learned there is that even at the provincial level, we will see a different approach in terms of athletics. And for us, I mean, right now we are looking for a God at world. If we can be given money to come, God is smelling. God is smelling in Mozambique. But if we don't, and we relent and say it's a ZA issue, then we are denying the country what it takes. Because at a certain level, the skill that you need to get a gold medal is not a function of the feelings of certain people. It's a function of the actual investment that is put in there, the training you do, the competition that you attend. So in 5 years' time, I can assure you, starting from this year, if we invest, it will be medals and medals. We should be able to hear the national anthem, begin to sing like we hear on South African national anthem, Kenyan and Ethiopian. We should be coming to that level as Zambia. So I see great prospects moving forward, a positive trajectory that I believe I'll continue to smile wherever I will be and say, I built that foundation. I was part of those pillars that are holding. I was part of that kids athletics program that is now producing the young people that are now transiting from being kids to youth, and being youth to junior, and being junior into senior, and the medals and accolades that will begin to fall in the country. That would be my greatest joy.
Indeed, Mr. Mpondela. We look forward to that. And hey, Mr. Mpondela, I wish we could spend more time in terms of having this conversation, but obviously we will still have time to meet with you even beyond this show. I would like to really thank you, Mr. Mpondela, for the time that you have given us, and wish you the very best, even as you discharge your duties and responsibilities towards the development of athletics in Zambia, and also more success for ZA. Viewers, This has been the Zambia Sports Roundtable, episode number 2, where we've been talking to no other than the president of the Zambia Athletics, Mr. Elias Mpondela, who's been in the sports world across Zambia for a very long time. And obviously, there's a lot of success that he has contributed towards the general development of sport in Zambia, but also athletics. Join us in the next show, and you can catch us on our social media platforms, including Facebook and YouTube, including watching this show. But you can also send your contributions and questions to my WhatsApp number, which is scrolling across the screen, which is +260 955 754048, +260 955 754048. We'll see you in the next show. For now, it's bye-bye and have a lovely day.
Thank you.